Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back to the MMA Short Show. As always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. And happy Easter to everyone out there. And, especially if you celebrate it. If not, my bad, my bad. But still, normally I don't get on here on Sunday morning right after some of the fight nights. I'm always late night reacting right after live or maybe not live, but as soon as the pay-per-views are done, I'm reacting every time. But with these fight nights, sometimes I'll wait till Monday. Sometimes I might not even talk about it. But I had to come on here, man, and talk about Chris Weidman and Bruno Silva. I know it sucks, and I apologize now because I'm going to have the pictures up here of the eye pokes, and I know those can be tough to watch, but, man, just shouts out to Chris Weidman, man. Regardless if it should have been a knockout, a unanimous decision win, which I think it got changed to, or even if it was a no contest, which realistically it probably should have been, and if roles were reversed, Chris Weidman would probably be crying the same way, and I think all the fans clearly would have been as well, but regardless of all of that, if we just look at the fight, man, shouts out to Chris Weidman. This man deserves all the praise in the world. But I think I speak for every single one of us. We were all watching that fight through our fingers. We were all probably terrified, especially if you're a fan of Chris Weidman. Regardless, when we watch our legends anyway in this sport, when they start to get later in their career, the 39, 40 years old, we all get worried about them because, clearly they've already done pretty much everything they possibly can. And, they're still out there because they love it. But, when it gets that old and all the damage they've taken, it gets scary. And especially, add on top of it that you snapped your leg at 36, 37 years old, in front of everybody on, a pretty big, massive pay-per-view card. Regardless of that, every one of us were terrified. And especially, like I said, if you're a Chris Weidman fan, like after that Brad Tavares fight, that one was really tough to watch, man. It's been weird these last couple years, especially because he decided to go up to 205, got knocked out by Dom Reyes. And then especially like we said with the broken leg and then the Brad Tavares fight, I was really worried with him coming into this fight. Bruno Silva is no joke here, man. This guy is no punk. That dude, arguably beat Alex Pereira if you guys go back and watch. And I thought live, it was tough, man. It was a really tough one. But, regardless of that, it was amazing to see him come back, to battle through it all. When he was throwing the kicks, I was absolutely terrified, but I was covering the screen, damn near half of it. But still, it was amazing seeing him come out there, look good. He was taking some pretty big shots and he was throwing them back. His head movement was great. Everything about him looked pretty damn phenomenal last night. I don't think he'll ever be back to his, title, his title reign or whatever, maybe even into the title picture. But it's nice to know that he can still go out there and compete with the, some of the top 15, top 20 in the world. And, when it gets maybe to that top 5, he might be a little too old still. And regardless of how you guys thought the fight played out, shouts out to him, man. I couldn't imagine how hard it would be because you guys already know he's already proved everything to all the fans, everything that he's ever done already, beating Anderson Silva, defending the championship. I don't know how many times, 3 times, 2 times. Like it's absolutely impressive what he's done already. But he's doing this for himself. He's proven this to himself. And that's what you got to love, man. At the end of the day, this man came off the couch, was like, man, I could easily sit here and have the excuse to never fight again. I broke my leg at 36, 37 years old, snapped it completely. And I know, and he almost damn near died from the surgery that he had and everything because he had complications. And it's crazy to go and watch his story and to listen to if you guys really ever care to watch it, man, because you would understand more of how just it's so motivational. It's so inspiring to watch this man go back out there. And I'm sorry to glaze this dude up right now, but seriously, man, he deserves it all. I couldn't imagine, doing this and then trying to, really prove to yourself, do I still have this, man? I'm questioning every day. I know I was a champion. I know it was this, but man, maybe my time has passed. And I just bet you he felt so damn amazing. It was beautiful watching his dad, yell, oh, that's my boy. That funny meme that I'll have up already.
And everybody, thank you. And this is still my boy.
But of course, just when this man wins, of course it's got to be controversial. Of course it's got to be an eye poke. Of course it's got to be clearly a no contest. Of course this would happen. But let's be real at the same time. The UFC knows what they were doing when they booked him in Jersey City. It's as close to Staten Island and New York that he is. That's where he's from. And I know he said he lives in Carolina now, or North Carolina South. I don't know which one. But regardless, this man still, they're not going to let this man lose in his hometown or close to his hometown. He's the hometown hero. It's the first time he's won. They built this fight pretty much around him to maybe retire if he lost or if it was a really, really tight one. But at the end of the day, cry about the no contest, regardless if it's they both, regardless, like we said, if it's Chris Weidman getting poked, we're going to be crying about it. That man, of course, he goes and loses when he was probably winning that fight. You could argue the decision, I guess. I don't know if it was 30-27 like they put across the board, but still not mad at it at all. It was nice to see Chris Weidman go out there. And I kind of agree with Chris Weidman when he was talking in the post-fight, man. If you're Bruno Silva, if you're going to get poked in the eye, okay, yes, it's tough, especially at that time. If he would have just stayed up and not fallen to the ground, he probably Chris Weidman would have got a point. They might even stop the fight because that was a pretty deep eye poke. Like they always say, though, you always have to protect yourself at all times. You can't give yourself up like that. So at the end of the day, it's a boohoo situation. I'm sorry. If you're a Bruno Silva fan, you're going to cry about it. But at the end of the day, you never want to see this man, Chris Weidman, go out like we've watched Chuck Liddell go out, like we watched BJ Penn go out, like we've watched even Nick Diaz's last performance look terrible. Like you don't want to see Chris Weidman out there doing it. So I know he's 40 years old. I know it's going to be an uphill climb no matter when he goes back into the octagon and whoever he fights, because there's only killers in the UFC, especially now in the where he is in the rankings and whatnot. It's going to be tough regardless. And it's just awesome that he had his last little moment, in his hometown. And I know hopefully it's not his last big moment, but still to get one last time, instead of it being a poor performance against Brad Tavares and, snapping his leg against Uriah Hall, like it is awesome to see him get this. And of course, it's got to be controversial, but regardless, shouts out to Chris Weidman for even getting in there and to keep pushing and to keep fighting and to keep proving to himself that you can still do this. So it was beautiful, and I hope y'all love that because I do too. And as always, your boy, Stephen Moustaris, and I hope y'all have a great Easter or just a great Sunday, whichever one. And let's go. UFC 300 in 2 weeks? So, woo!